It's time now for This Is Life with Rob McGowan. How we live always changes the world around us.
Please help me. Bird on a tree.
This is Rob with Life Radio. We got another episode of This Is Life, and we're here with Ryan Summers, another gentleman running for council. How are you today, Ryan?
Very good, Rob. Thanks for having me on today.
Oh, always glad to have you along. It's been a while. COVID sort of stopped all the interviews and everybody coming in, but it probably took me that long just to figure out how to use Zoom.
Yeah, that's right.
All these different technologies and going in, but I have fun with it now. You can talk to people all over the world and have a great time. So it's good fun.
Sure.
You guys use Zoom a lot now with all your meetings and stuff and technology?
We were for quite some time, basically with council during this whole pandemic. Like everyone else, we're sort of adjusting on the fly, depending on where we're at, just following the province's lead. So yeah, like you said there, jokingly about learning Zoom and whatnot. This time a year ago, we were all sort of getting the hang of it. And we did our meetings from home, basically when we were in lockdown phase, and then eventually started to get back into the chambers. And then even for a while, we had the option, if you weren't real comfortable with actually coming to City Hall, you could stay home and Zoom in, and or you could actually come in person. So it's been like everything else with this pandemic, sort of day by day. But our meetings currently are regularly taking place at the chambers.
Okay, well, I'll get right into it. I ask everybody sort of the same kind of questions. As I open up with, what's your vision for Miramichi? Being on council, what do you like that's going on that you've done, and what do you like to see going forward?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess for that question, Rob, I kind of envision a city. I'm hoping that we can keep trending in the direction that we're heading in. I said at the time that I ran for the by-election in 2016 that I was impressed with the previous council, and of course the current group that I'm now a part of after joining them during the by-election. I just felt like the city in general had some momentum and had some good people in place. And I guess that's why I had the notion to want to join that group, to see what I could bring to the equation. And I guess to sum it up in a way, I mean, there's still a lot of work to be done, no matter who comes out on top on May 10th. But I like what I'm seeing in our community. There's a seemingly, a renewed sense of optimism. And I guess in terms of what I'd like to see for the community, I feel like sometimes we get labeled with the retirement Miramichi badge. And I mean, we do certainly have an aging population, and we have a lot of seniors in our community, and they're a very important part of our community. But I feel like we have a strong, younger generation coming up through Miramichi as well. And I'd like to sort of get away from all of those types of labels and establish ourselves as a city that is welcoming to people of all, backgrounds, age groups, no matter what, and just see if we can sort of collectively try and make the city that we love so much better each and every day.
Well, that's awesome. It's we got a big amount of people running this time. I think it's 15 or 16 people. It's a lot of people. So what sets you apart from everybody? What are you feel your better qualifications sort of that they should pick you?
Sure. So like from the entire group that's running, or because I think,
well, just in general, your own, what do you think sets you, this is why I'm running, this is what's good and why you should pick me, that kind of thing?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess, as far as being part of the current group and competing versus those that are trying to take our place, I feel as though fate kind of came my way when I took on my new role here at Allied Realty. I get to work in a sort of a dual role, doing this for a living as a real estate agent. And it's very exciting for me. And I guess in a way, I feel like that sets me apart, just doing this for a living, because each and every day I get to meet new people often that are moving to our city. And I'll usually try to joke with them, Rob, that the primary goal, of course, is to get a sale and find them their new home. But at the same time, I get to wear both hats and brag up our city. And it actually works to my advantage in the sense of being a real estate agent. When I meet new people coming here, I definitely have a great knowledge of all the various parts of our city. So depending where they're coming to work, I'll essentially get all of their information and what it is they're looking for, or what type of home or what type of property it is they're looking for. And knowing the area as well as I do, I can sort of try and narrow it down that, you would really like the Nelson area, or maybe down Chatham, Logieville, wherever it may be that makes the most sense in my head. And it's fun getting to meet new clients coming to our city. So like I said, not to be too redundant, but getting to sort of be a realtor, but then to tell them that I'm also a city councilor, and here are some of the great things that we have going on. Here are some of the things that we're striving for, because I know it's one thing to get people here to our city, but we need to be able to try and make them want to stay, right? And so I genuinely get excited even just talking about it to you, Rob.
What's that poster on the wall behind you there?
Oh, that's
Is
my
that
man.
a chalkboard or what is that?
That's my man Gord Downey from the Tragically Hip.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty sad.
That's their last ever performance, but and it's hanging on my wall here at the office. So
big Tragically Hip fan. Well, Canadian, that's good.
yeah, absolutely. But anyways, like I say, as far as doing this for a living and being a counselor at the same time, the excitement comes from meeting new people coming to Miramichi, and they love our city almost right off the hop. And I know I've said this a million times, but two things that sell our city as far as trying to get people to come here and stay here. One's the natural beauty, which I can see right out my office window here. That's an easy one. And then generally I'll meet up with my clients after they've been here for a few months, and they're always blown away by the people in our city and how friendly they are. And that's not something you get everywhere else in our country. And so I really enjoy doing that. And then I guess just to wrap that up, Rob, there's times where former Miramichiers are making their way back home too. And that's always exciting too, because sometimes people, we'll get into some of this other stuff, but job-wise, they may have had to leave the city, but their hearts really never left Miramichi. So you've seen stories recently where people are getting back home, and that's awesome whenever they have the opportunity to do so. Provided that the employment is there.
More the merrier, I always say.
100%, yeah.
So with people coming back, we're going to need some economic growth. You guys are you working on stuff? What is your vision for the future? How do you would like to see? We have been growing. I got to say,
yeah,
our city seems to be.
We certainly have, Rob. And again, I feel one thing we have going for us for an advantage is that demographically we're a large area. So there's room for growth. If somebody has an industry or a business proposal, something to that extent that they want to bring here, we certainly have plenty of space to make that happen. And I guess in terms of the economy right now, Miramichiers are always going to support their fellow Miramichiers. So these small little local businesses that we've seen open up recently from various entrepreneurs, they're always going to have the support of the people within our community. And that's just a natural, fact. There's nobody in my eyes that supports their community more than Miramichiers supporting their fellow Miramichiers, whether it's in business or life in general. When somebody needs a hand with something, there's somebody within our city that's there to lend that hand. And shifting back, I guess, to the economic side of it, I think it's wonderful to support our local businesses. But I would like to see us try to branch out and maybe attract some more retail to Miramichi. One thing that kind of grinds my gears just about every year is when people sort of bemoan the fact that they have to go to Fredericton or Moncton perhaps towards Christmas time to do their shopping. And I feel like if we could maybe reach some more retail type of stores and get them here, maybe expand on what we have working down in the Douglastown area, in all likelihood, Rob, because that's where we get the space to do it. I know there's sort of that big box store versus local, fear factor. But if you have another one of those, I'll say a Walmart type of, businesses, that draws so many people into our community from the surrounding areas. And so, if you go to Walmart any day of the week, you see a ton of people from the Nigawak, Tracadie, downriver area, I guess I will say. So in my mind, there's nothing wrong with having something like that draws them into our community. And then, of course, once you get them here to Miramichi, they can start to discover their other little, the wonderful little local businesses that we have going here, restaurants, things of that nature. I think we got to do whatever we possibly can to get people to come. And once they show up, they're going to want to come back.
It's a beautiful spot to be. So when you have growth, though, you also have there's things happen. We run out of, you get housing shortfalls, and what about the drug epidemic? We got the policing side of it. And then there's a lot of people that struggle. They just, can't afford, as things get better, prices go up, right? But there are people that sort of fall through the cracks. And what do we do about that? We seem to be having a growing epidemic lately.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I do think the drug issue in Miramichi is not something that's new to us within the city. And I don't think it's something that we're going to be able to solve overnight by no means. And I think, oh, sorry there, my business phone was ringing there. We're good. Sorry about that. I guess, the way I look at it, Rob, that's going to be a long, drawn out battle, but it's certainly one that we need to try and fight to the best of our abilities.
So are there
Again,
things that council's been doing now that you're working towards that problem, or?
well, I mean, I know we've given credit to our local police force a number of times. I mean, in recent, months and even the last few years, I think Chief Finder and his crews are doing a great job in trying to get a lot of the illicit drugs off the street. I mean, anytime that they're able to successfully have a bust, I guess I'll say, that's great. But that's always going to sort of continue, I guess. And I don't mean to be negative about it. I'm just being realistic. And the one thing about the drug issue in Miramichi that often bothers me as well, Rob, is that similar to the retirement Miramichi stigma, like sometimes we get labeled because of the issues that we're facing here in our city. And I don't really feel like that's fair because every other city within the province and probably from coast to coast across the country and elsewhere, they all have their issues with drug use within their communities, and they're all trying to fight that fight. And I'm not one to try to make any bold promises that if I do this, that, and the next thing, I'm just going to snap my fingers and solve the drug issues in Miramichi. But it's certainly a priority.
Well, two of the responses I've heard that seemed, one was that we have temporary beds, but we don't have full-time beds. So some of the other councils have talked about getting full-time beds. Is that something council's been looking into, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know where you're going with that. I think in the short term, there's been a lot of talk about Harvest House. I think MLA Conroy sort of put that on the radar. I think that would be a great first initiative once we can actually get that up and going. We do have a number of housing developments within the city that are on the radar, I guess I'll say. And that may help some of those situations. It sort of all correlates together, right? If you have, an avenue for affordable housing, that may help some of these people that are, if you're struggling and having a difficult time finding a place to live, well, that's what sometimes leads these people down those types of paths, right? So a lot of what we're talking about here today, Rob, it's all connected in my mind. And so if you establish better affordable housing, help some of these folks that need our help, and I think that's important too. Realize that some of these people within our city that are having problems, they're also Miramichiers just like we are. And, I don't feel like it's fair to try and, paint them with a certain brush. I think the empathy is what we need, and try to reach out to these folks and find the solutions, which again, I don't know if I have the perfect one off the top of my head, but just work hard to try and help those folks out. And the more we do that, hopefully talks of the drug issue here in the Miramichi will start to become less prevalent.
So now there was one question I've been asking everybody. It's sort of a more specific question, and you should have some good insight into this, as to the multiplex itself. Where do you stand on it? And as far as older buildings and new buildings, and should we be going that road or not going that road, or where do you stand on it as a councillor?
Sure. Well, I mean, I've been 100% in support of that project since even when I ran in the by-election in the fall of 2016, Rob. And I'm going to stay with that. It's been frustrating for us. We've laid a lot of the groundwork that was necessary to try and make that project become a reality. And I still believe that it will become a reality. I know there's a lot of misperception in our city regarding costs and affordability and things of that nature. But the stats are out there on what the proposed buildings that we're looking at closing down cost our municipality every year collectively. And the truth is that if we follow the right models and make that multiplex happen in the Douglastown area where it's proposed to go, our city will be much better off for having a multiplex within our community. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying that we have to get over the hurdle with the federal government and the province. And I know there's a lot of back and forth on that. The reality is that we can't do the project unless we have at least one of those levels of government on board, hopefully both, if we're able to someday. And that's really why the project has stalled. We've done our due diligence, we've done our research, we've saved the municipalities' contribution towards it. We've done well with our money and our funding, hoping that the day will come that we can join our provincial and federal partners to actually make it happen. And I do believe it will. It's just taking a little longer than I expected, but I'm not going to waver on it. I want to see that project happen. In my eyes, Rob, it's the next big step for our city. It goes without saying that the arrival of the federal payroll center was like one of the biggest boosts to our economy that we had in probably 20 years. And I sort of refer to that as the turning point for our city. When that arrived here, that's where the negative notions in our city started to sort of, go away, dissipate a little bit. And like I said, that positivity started to come back and realize that, hey, we got that now. Now what can we do? And circling back to the meeting new people coming to the city, if you're going to want people to stay here, they're not going to want to go to a facility with their kids where the roof might cave in on top of them. They're going to want to go to a nice, piece of infrastructure. And I don't know if there's much more I can say on that. Certainly pro multiplex, and I know some of our listeners will be and some won't be, but that's how I feel.
Okay. Now I asked everybody this question too about faith. Being life radio, we always ask, does it play a role at all in your decision making? Were you brought up in faith of any kind, or?
Sure.
How
I most certainly was. I mean, I came from two large families. There was 13 people in my dad's family and 8 in my mom's. And my dad's family was Baptist, and my mother's family was Catholic. And I was sort of raised in both. In my younger years, I was at Dad's church, at the Baptist church up by Tim Hortons here, the Calvary Baptist Church, quite often. So it was a big part of my life in my early years on that side of things. And then as I got a little bit older, I was at Mom's church here at St. Mary's quite often as well. But certainly, I mean, I come from a family of faith on both sides. Particularly, both of my grandmothers were very faithful, and it's certainly a big part of my life. I don't know if I can directly tie that to decision making, but I mean, it's certainly still a huge part of who I am. And I guess looking at it through a city councilor lens, I have faith in our community that if we, try to do this in the right way and work together, that collectively as a whole, we can make this city what we all want it to be. And I mean, if you don't have that type of faith and you just sort of want to have a give up mentality, well, then that's when things go south, right? So I would say it's certainly still a big part of who I am.
Okay. Well, I give everybody the last word, so to say. I say anything you want to tell people in general, why they select you, or what you'd like to just basically last words all to you, whatever you want to tell people, and let them know before we let you go.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that, Rob. I guess if I was speaking to the citizens right now, I'll be upfront. I mean, when I got elected in the fall of 2016, I was as raw as could be coming into the council role. And it was a difficult time to get elected too, because we were in budget season, which is the busiest time of the year for any city councilor, whether you've been there forever or you're brand new. So truthfully, it was a little overwhelming for me in the beginning. And it took me quite some time to adjust to my new role as a city councilor. But I feel as though the longer I've been in there, I feel like I'm getting stronger the more that I do it. And I've taken the approach from day one that I want to learn more, obviously. I mean, it's a lot to take in when you become a city councilor and you start learning about all the different departments at City Hall. So it takes some time to sort of find your way, I guess is what I'm saying. But I've, again, sort of worked on, I feel as though I've done a great job in a lot of ways being a city councilor, and I know what my strengths are. I clearly like to talk. Some people might tell you, Rob, that I talk a little bit too much by times. But that's part of it. You need to be able to talk to your residents, right, when they're looking for you. So that's certainly one of my strengths. And I'm well known in the community. I mean, I've been here most of my life. I only went away for school for a few years, and to my wife's hometown for 3 years as well. But I've been in Miramichi most of my life, and I love it here. And I mean, I'm like every other counselor I'm sure you've talked to, proud Miramichier. But I genuinely feel as though I want to make a difference in our community. And I guess, to wrap this up, as far as the election coming up, I feel like I've gotten stronger and stronger in the last few years, and I want to be able to try and take the next step moving forward, which is, I need to finish in the top 8 on May 10th if I'm going to do that. So I guess, I appreciate you having me on today, Rob, and I guess that's all I can tell you for now.
No trouble. Do you fish? Were you out fishing yet?
You know what? This could cost me some votes too, probably. I hate to say it. I told someone this the other day. It's funny you mention it. Not a fisherman, especially when your last name's Summers in our city too. Most people associate our last name with people that love the outdoors and love to hunt and fish and all that great stuff. I've actually joked about it at council because the Striper Cup's like a huge event for us. And I've told Jeff McTavish more than once that I've never fished a day in my life. But I do think that's a wonderful event for our city, and I do support it. And I've got lots of friends that fish, Rob, but to answer your question, no. I certainly haven't fished yet this year, and I probably won't be, but I was just a hockey and baseball kind of guy. I'd never really get into some of the finer things our city has to offer.
There's lots of good stuff with that too. Well, we want to thank you, Ryan, for coming out and, well, not coming out, I guess, talking to us online and for the radio show. And we appreciate that you're running for council. We know it's a lot of hard work for people. And I say to everybody that's running we thank you for all the work you've done to help Miramichi and the difference you make.
Awesome, Rob. Thank you so much.
No trouble. You have a great day. Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Like a bird on a tree,